What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to the brother Aram for showing love with the donation via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV. Well, over the last 3 years, we've lost legends from the golden era of the 1960s, such as, of course, Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell, and then, of course, this year, Jerry West. Oscar Robertson is one of the last remaining legends from the old golden era of the 1960s and early 1970s. And recently, he talked about how, in his opinion, Wilt Chamberlain has become vastly underrated. And he talked about how, and he hints at how Wilt probably should have won the MVP in 1962. And he talked about how it was Wilt Chamberlain who carried the NBA in the 1960s. He sat down recently with Matt Barnes and Stephen A. Jackson. They talked about Wilt Chamberlain's contributions to basketball.
Who did you enjoy matching up against?
I enjoyed Wilt because I knew Wilt very well, and Wilt was a big talker, you know. And Wilt was talking about what he's going to do and whatnot. But Wilt was putting on the show for people. You know, Wilt carried the NBA for years. And I've always said this, that the year when Philadelphia moved to San Francisco and Syracuse came down to Philly, Wilt averaged 50 points a game. And that's, people don't say anything about it.
Unbelievable.
And, you know, and my good friend Bill Russell won the MVP that year. He played great because they won the championship. But when you average 50 points a game, I mean, that's, and I averaged a triple-double.
Right.
You know? So, but I still say Wilt carried the NBA that year. And, you know, and they don't ever say that much about it.
Is it probably because we didn't get a chance to see it, or people who speak most now didn't get a chance to see it or really appreciate it? But how great was he? I mean, obviously we see the numbers, but to see and play against it, and like you said, him being able to carry the entire league, how great was he? And could he have played in any era and dominated?
Oh, I think he could have. Wilt was a great athlete. He could run track, high jump, volleyball player, talk plenty of stuff all the time. But, you know, he got it done on the court. I mean, you know, one game they played in, you know, and these guys today talk about how great they are. Sure, there's some great basketball players. Guy gets 50 rebounds. Hell, I think Russell got 48 that game. I mean, can you imagine one man getting 50 rebounds in a basketball game?
It's incredible.
It is, and you know, and the thing about it, he played every minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He played in every game.
You see guys today where they say they try to worry about the minutes and
load management.
Oh, that's what load management. I mean, I think if you're making $50 million a year, there's no load management.
No such thing.
I think sometimes you owe it to the fans who come to see you play, because the NBA owners and the players in this thing together.
Right.
They're not in it alone.
Right.
And they said they got to understand that. We understood that with the Players Association when I was there. We tried to convince that. Finally, I think some of the owners who came to the league while I was still there understood that. We're not fighting them. We were trying to do something to better basketball.
Right, for the overall good. Who did you enjoy, Matt?
Well, you heard that from Oscar Robertson. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was off a year, though, when he talked about the year they averaged 50. That's the year that they left. The Warriors left Philly and went west. That was actually, if I recall, that was in 1963, at the end of the 62-63 season. That was actually the year that was after the season when Wilt averaged 44.8. So what happened was, after the 62-63 season, if memory serves me correctly, that's the year that the Warriors, who were the Philadelphia Warriors, went west and went to San Francisco, became the San Francisco Warriors, and then they became, I think in the early 70s, they became known as the Golden State Warriors. But when Philly lost the Warriors, they gained the Sixers. who once were the Syracuse Nationals. So Syracuse Nationals and the Sixers are the same franchise. They went to Philly. And then Syracuse, they just lost a basketball franchise in the NBA, you know. Well, it makes sense because Syracuse is a smaller city, so the big venues and the big markets. But anyway, he said that he thought that Wilt should have won the MVP. Or at least he hinted at that. I can't remember Russell's numbers offhand in 62, 61, 62, but I want to say he averaged something like 18 and like 24 or 23 or something like that. Something like 18 points and 23, 24 rebounds, which are unbelievable numbers. But Wilt averaged 50 and 25, I think, that year. He talked about the game that Wilt was a game against the Celtics that Wilt had 55 rebounds, which is the NBA record. I think Russell's high is 51. I think he did that twice. So they're the only guys that I know of that had 50 rebounds a game. But people like to talk about pace and, well, yeah, those guys play at a faster pace. The numbers are inflated. True, they might be a little bit inflated, but nobody else was doing that then. Nobody else was doing that. Nobody else was even coming close to that. Maybe Jerry Lucas and maybe Nate Thurman were getting 40, but 50 plus, and then consistently getting over 20 rebounds per game. And it's especially impressive with Wilt because Wilt wasn't just focusing on rebounding. Wilt wasn't just focusing on that. He had to do multiple tasks. He had to be the primary scorer, and he had to facilitate a little bit. He played defense, and he was getting rebounds. And the man was playing nearly every minute of basketball games. The 61-62 season, he somehow averaged 48.5 rebounds because he was playing every minute, every game, including overtimes. As a matter of fact, I think he only had, technically, 7 minutes of rest the entire season. 7 minutes. Over 80 games. He even said years later, he said, I don't know how I did it. But he said the coach was trying to kill me. Now you got guys they playing too many minutes, averaging 33 minutes a night. And the pace is faster than it was in the 90s, but it wasn't as fast as it was in the 60s. And I don't think a lot of people know that. A lot of people say, well, this is the fastest pace. No, it's not. The 60s was the fastest pace of all time. And those guys were playing defense. And they were playing 40-plus minutes a night still. But these guys whine and complain about playing 30 minutes a night. Getting $50, $60 million a year. And he's not lying about Wilt carrying the league. Yeah, Bill Russell was the winner, but Wilt was putting asses in the seats. Look at how Lakers attendance skyrocketed when Wilt was traded there. Wilt was a bit controversial, but Wilt was, in many ways, like Michael Jordan. Now, he wasn't part of the league at the time when it had all of these promotions and endorsements and TV deals. Well, there was a TV deal, but the NBA wasn't quite what it was in the 80s and 90s. And it wasn't a global game and a global league yet. But believe you me, Wilt was the biggest star. And it pains me to see how you got kids today who say that Wilt is a myth. But you won't dare see kids question Babe Ruth's greatness. But like I said, we only see this in our community. Because the kids today are taught to be at a, it's this war between their generation and our generation. And prior generations. Because they feel like their generation is not respected. We got to earn respect. That's how it works. We got shitted on by the younger generation. The older generation, excuse me. We got crapped on. But Wilt was not a myth. He was an uber athlete. He could have been a shot putter professionally if he chose to. Olympian level, if he focused on that, he could have been an Olympian high jumper. He could have been an Olympian sprinter. The man was one of the great volleyball players of his era. He was not just a basketball player. He was a great athlete, period. He could have focused on anything. The man came back from an injury that for anybody else in the 1970s would have ended their career. The same injury that Wilt came back from in just a little over 5 months basically ended Andre Robertson, I think his name is, Robertson's career. It ended his career. Mind you, he had all of the technological advances of 55 plus years later, or 45 years later, I should say, at his disposal, and he couldn't do it. Everyone holds the fact that he only had 2 championships against him, right? But remember, Elgin Baylor really didn't win a championship. Some people say the 72, but he really wasn't part of that team. I think he got a ring, or he was offered a ring, but I don't know whether he took it. It's kind of murky. But technically, Elgin Baylor never won a championship. Jerry West has one. Oscar Robertson has one. Bob Pettit has one. And it's never held against him. But with 2, it's held against him all the time. And yes, he did have bad games. But I will say this, too, in the playoffs. It's easier to stop a big man offensively than it is a guard, because the guard will always have the ball in his hands. You got to get the ball to a big man. And if you trap very well and you're playing trapping defense and ball denial, and it's easier to keep the ball out of the hands of a great big man. But that's what hurt the Bucks at times when Kareem was there, because as great as Kareem was, their offense was a tad bit predictable, meaning that you knew what they were going to do. You knew what they were going to do. Go to Kareem. Well, you got a guard who is a great scorer and a great passer. It makes the team a little bit more. It puts the defense more on pressure, because you don't know exactly every time what the guy's going to do. But anyway, salute to Oscar Robertson. Tell me what you guys think.